welcome you into a very special episode of the Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast. Stacey King alongside, and now it's our pleasure to welcome in Taj Gibson, who accomplished an amazing achievement last night playing in his 1,000th career game, playing for the Charlotte Hornets in a game in Toronto. Taj, welcome to the show and congratulations. I know that building up to this moment must have been a lot of thoughts going through your mind, and the team gave you the game ball afterwards. We saw that ceremony. What was the emotions like as you racked up game number 1,000?
Well, I was trying to not be emotional the whole day. I was just trying to be professional. Uh, but it's tough, man. When you've been around so long and you've been in so many battles with so many great players, I try not to look back, but then you start looking back. You start thinking about different moments with different great players and intimate settings where it's just us fighting for every little loose ball, fighting to just do something special. And it takes a toll on your body and your mental. But once you get to that point where you can look back like, man, it was some of the best basketball, some of the best times of my life. To get my peers to have that the young guys to be able to see that and feel that with me, it was awesome last night.
One of the things I think people don't understand in about this 1,000 game, there's only 151 people before you that's ever played in 1,000 games. So you're 152 with all the people and all the great players that played in this game, man. To have that type of longevity, talk a little bit about what you did, how you prepared yourself mentally and physically throughout the whole years and how important it was to be around a good locker room to show you how to prolong your career.
Well, man, I remember I don't know. I'm just blessed. I'm just blessed. But I always been a worker. I worked at a moving company, and I had to work with criminals, felons, guys who just came home from jail, guys who didn't have many kind of educational background. I had to work the chain gang on the steps with these guys at a very young age. And from that point on, this hearing those guys and just working with those guys on a night-to-night basis, because I didn't really think I was gonna play basketball. Um, and I got a shot. I got a shot playing. Uh, I moved to California. It changed my life, and it was one of the best things for my life. But at taking that small token of just learning from those guys, I just said anytime, any place, I'm just gonna go after it. And being around guys like Derrick Rose, being around so many great veterans, being able to go to Chicago at that point in my life set the tone for my life because I was around so many great pros, Stacey King, Tony Kukoc, Scottie Pippen on a daily basis. They're coming into the gym like, yo, what you doing? Like, you okay? You need to do this and that. I'm like, all right. I was soaking it all up. And then I'm with Joakim Noah. I'm playing with the most energetic guys in the game who love the work. And I'm playing with an MVP. I got no choice. I'm like, I'm gonna do whatever it takes. And as the years got on, I was just saying, like, the work is not hard. It's all about inside of me. Like, no matter what, I don't want to miss any opportunity. Like in this league, guys kind of some guys check out early because they don't understand like the opportunity of it, how big the moment is. And I always try to tell myself, no matter how tired, no matter how sick or whatever, like Luol Deng always told me, I don't care. He's like, I don't care. If you can go, you go. And that's the kind of motto I always roll with. And one thing I always try to add into my career is that guy that's always there for his teammates. Flu, I'm gonna give you whatever kind of minutes I can give you. That's what I always try to remain in my whole career. That he's dedicated to the team and he's gonna play no matter what. If he's hurt, he's hurt. But he can go, he knows how he's gonna go.
Taj, it's kind of ironic about you hitting the 1,000 mark yesterday. I remember when you were drafted, you came into the league and people were going, "Well, he's older. How much use are we going to get out of Taj Gibson coming into the league at 25?" And here you are at 39, hitting 1,000 games. When you reflect back on that, when people were saying, what is his role going to be in the NBA, and you outlasted them all. You proved your value in every situation you were in, and your work ethic has taken you to this point. When you reflect back on how it started, does it make it even more special?
Well, it was tough. I remember coming in Chicago and just hearing all that, the rumbles. It was really disheartening. I'm not gonna kid you. It was really disheartening to hear all the like, but it fed the fire. Like it made me want to go even harder. It was tough, but just at that standpoint of looking back on it, I was mature and I was ready to step in. Go, being able to be mature, step in, and be able to take whatever. One thing about the NBA, the NBA is gonna constantly throw you curveballs. You got to be able to just roll with the punches, never take it personal, always be professional, always look them in the eye, and try to do what's best. And that one thing that helped my career as time go on, everybody's not gonna like you. Just do what you have to do. Just do what you have to do to help the team, and it has worked to my benefit. I was always just not knowing how things would turn out every year, and every year I was just blessed.
One of the things I recognized early on about you when you came here, when the Bulls drafted you, you came in defensive ready. And I think that really helped you get on the floor a lot sooner than what typical rookies do. The rotations, the rim protections, how to play pick and rolls. That's one of the things that really stood out about you in your first season is that you
Mhm.
had a concept defensively, and that was your bread and butter. That's what you decided. I'm going to bring this to the table, and then everything else will come along because I got to get on the floor, and
Mhm.
defense is going to get me on the floor. And I think you realized that early, and
Mhm.
then that's where you just took off.
Yeah, I always love defense. It's the thing that really gets you to the court in the NBA, and it's really tough, man. You going against, especially in the big, being a big man back in when I first got in. Like I seen a picture of me playing against Shaq. People don't understand how physical it really was to be a big man, like maybe a couple years ago when we had real forwards. So every day in practice, I was getting beat up. And then I had Akeem Warwick. I had so many talented guys who I looked up to, man, and still do, like really on a day to day going at me. And Joakim always said, "Yo, when you get on this court, don't look back." And I remember Derek told me that my first preseason game, it was like my first preseason game against the Indiana Pacers. I think Tyrus went down, and I had a pretty good game. And I remember Derek's like, "Yo, you see, you're in the hunt. Don't look back now. Don't look back. You here? Stay here. Don't look back." I was like, I felt that. I felt that energy. That's one thing about when you be around great teammates. Sometimes sometimes guys say the smallest things, but you can feel that passion, you can feel that energy. It just hits you like, oh, let's go. Let's go. And I still feel that when I see Joe Keem. I'm like, let's rock. That's why I try to take that with my young guys now. Like, nah, it's not no nonchalant, like, oh, okay, yeah. No, let's go. Run through his face. Let's get it.
What kind of impact did Tom Thibodeau have on your career?
Man, that's like my pops. It's like my second pops. He was he's everything that you would think of if you watch what's one of my A Bronx Tale.
Yeah.
You're like he's that older vet, that older guy that takes a liking to a young guy, like because he sees how he moves, he likes how you carry it, he likes how you bring it every day, he likes how like you want to learn, but then he respects your toughness. Like he understands you're not gonna back down from anybody. And he understands, like, oh, no, you know what? You really want this life? All right, let's go after it. And then I don't know how to say it. Like, be honest with you, my first couple years with Tibbs, like, we never spoke a word.
Wow.
I was in a locker room like he hates me. Why he always yelling at me? Yo, Tibbs always just cursed me out. People like, yo, Tibbs loves Todd. Yeah, okay. He cursed me out. If Booz did something wrong, Todd, what the hell? Like he used to really like almost tear me up to the point where I would literally have to get ready to walk out when Ronnie Brewer would have to come grab me. JJ would grab me like, it's all right, man. It's all right. Like, yo, chill. Like he used to like really go at my mental. And then as years went on, I was like, man, I love this guy. Like
Yeah.
we've been in through a lot of battles. He's one of the main reasons my name is what it is around this league because he did a lot for my career. And I'm not afraid to let people get that embracement of letting people know, like, yo, Tibbs did a lot for me. Whoever did a lot for me, I always give them that praise. Vinny, Del Negro, all the coaches ahead of all the coaches in the past few years I've been with, I always try to give them their just due. Like Charles Lee right now, I'm giving him his just due because he's really playing a 39-year-old and really believing in me on a night-to-night basis.
That's awesome.
It's nothing can't be said about that.
That's awesome. Also, when you look back on your career here in Chicago, one of the things that was so special about that particular team, you guys didn't win a championship, but you were close. You
Mhm.
should, it could have happened, here and there.
Mhm.
Derek gets hurt. But the one thing I always loved about that team is the camaraderie, the brotherhood that you guys shared. It reminded me so much of the championship years that I played on here in Chicago, how close we were. We were like brothers. We
Mhm.
argued, we got into fights in practice, but at the end of the day, when it was over, we walked out
Mhm.
that building. We was reunited, and we stepped on the court to go against anybody that had a different
Mhm.
jersey on. We was in that ass, and you
Yeah.
guys had that same kind of philosophy. That's why it was so fun to watch. Talk a little bit about your experience with all those teams.
It was so great just to put the jersey on and represent the city of Chicago, but I think what helped those teams was we had a lot of old Bulls players always coming back. You felt that energy when guys came back. Even when we went to Charlotte we went to Charlotte one time, MJ came into the locker room after we won. It was like, I think it was my first year that we clinched. Him and Charles Oakley came into the locker room and they was just hitting guys on their head. It was so nonchalant. It was like MJ. I was like, man, he's like, all right, man, better represent. Go out there and represent. And I was like, man, I'm a part of something special, man. And then the city just embraced us, but we were always in the city. We were like we just took part of that whole city grit and grind and toughness mentality. And when one by one, guys was just forming up. But Derrick Rose was just special. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It was just like once we got that little taste of like, all right, now we here. And then as years go on, you seeing the muscles growing. You seeing us getting beards now. You seeing the tenacity. You seeing us speaking well. Like, it was so special, but at the same time, we were so blessed, man. Like, to be able to come to Chicago, represent Chicago, and that city was. Can you imagine like selling out on a night to night basis? I even when I was hurt some days, when I got hurt later in my career, and they would sit me out, and I would watch from the stand, like from the sideline, like how much of an impact the games were having. I was like, man, this city really made me a tough mother lover, man. Because they was on me when I had good games, when I was on me when I had bad games, and it made us hardened. It made us who we are today.
I know you've been contacted by a lot of your former teammates, either phone call, text, or whatever. I saw a video that was put together today where some of your old Bulls teammates, Derek and Booz and Luol Deng and Joe Keem, all reached out on camera to congratulate you on this accomplishment. When you see those guys, you know the relationship, the love that you have for those guys. For them to go out in the social platform and congratulate you, what did that mean?
Man, I cried. I cried. I cried, man. I'll be honest with you. I cried because I hold those guys to the utmost highest. Those guys made me who I was, who I am. When you're trying to transition and become a man, I was still a young guy when I got to Chicago. I was still trying to figure out how to be a man. When I got to Chicago, those guys taught me how to be a man, how to stand on what you stand on, talk on what you talk, and your name is everything. And just seeing Derek and these guys, like I'm telling you, to this day, they don't even have to call me, check on me at no time. They give me one phone call, one text, and I'm there. That's how much love I got for those guys. One text, I'm flying across the world. What's happening?
Yeah.
That's how much I respect and love those guys. And Carlos, I told Booz today, I was like, he's a big part of my story, man. Because people don't understand. Carlos was kicking my butt in that practice every day. Oh, Taj, Taj is coming. Yeah, all right, yeah. Taj, run it 5-on-5 every day. I was like, Thibs, I can't guard this guy. But he made me a better player. and he's just such a gracious dude, and every day I owe so much to him.
That's awesome. Talk a little bit about, when you had the free agency period and you had LeBron and you had Dwayne Wade and you had Chris Bosh out there, and Derek took a hit from a lot of people because he didn't do the singing and dancing and begging those guys to come play because he had so much confidence and love for the team that he was playing for, the Keith Bogans of the world who didn't get a lot of attention. Yourselves, Luol Deng and Joakim Noah. He believed in the team that he had,
Mhm.
and he took a hit, because he didn't sing and dance and go out recruiting. Talk a little bit about that and what that meant to you
It
guys
was
seeing
yo,
that.
that was one of the weirdest times of my life, man. Going from playing with Carlos and everything just peachy, like, we gonna have our mess ups, but then we go through that little the meeting part. Yo, he's coming through. This guy wants to come. This guy wants to come. If you know Pooh, like he not into all that.
Yeah.
You know, he's one of those guys that's really into like going against the odds.
Yes.
And that's what kind of makeup of our team was. We was on that. That was our whole mentality. We don't rock with nobody that's on that. We want to bring it to them. If you want to wear the shiny suits and do all that tap toeing, all right, we got something for. We gonna smack you up when we see you. That's how we carried it.
Yeah.
Derek didn't have to say that because that's how he brought it every night. People forget. People were catching flu season.
Yes.
Like I'm like, yo, what happened? Yo, he's not playing the point guard's not playing tonight. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. And it was just like it's nuts. And he can get criticized all it, but at the end of the day, we stood on what we stood on. We don't change up for nobody.
And that's what I think people don't understand is that you guys' mentality was that you could beat anybody on any given night as long as the health was there. And for Derrick Rose, out in front, being that guy out in front with you guys, you had so much confidence. I mean, you were one game away from beating Miami and getting to the finals. One big shot away from
Yeah.
from LeBron. I mean, so you were right there. And I think, people unjustly criticize Derek for not singing and dancing and begging guys to come play for him because he has that MJ mentality. I'd rather beat you than join up with you because if I win, it's going to be because we went out and got you and you helped us win instead of what we've done here for the last 3 or 4 years building something special and building a mindset to win.
Mhm. Yeah, and it was special because it's like everybody kind of built each other up. Everybody, it was all in-house. Everybody's mostly drafted, everybody constantly worked their way up, and everybody just flourished, like just kept developing. And it was just a couple rough spots. And it's tough when you're going against that much firepower, but at the same time, like we never back down, man. We at the end of the day, I still think about it every day. We did it to ourselves majority of the time, mentally, not really physically, but mostly mental. Cause we was around each other a long time, battling, trying to get back to that Eastern Conference for those 5 to 6 years, and through those injuries, we went through a tough toll on our mental, and it's a part of the game.
You mentioned that you would drop anything to be with your teammates if they reached out to you. You were in the middle of your season with the Hornets, and you came here to Chicago to celebrate Derrick Rose's night when they played the Knicks and Tom Thibodeau earlier this season. Derek is a guy that's always been kind of private in terms of, he doesn't share a lot of his innermost feelings with the media. But it's been, for me, from a perspective of a media guy, to see him now accepting his flowers and how much he meant to people. That's really been special to see his growth in that way. How he's sharing that with his family, what he accomplished in Chicago. What did that mean to you as a teammate to see Derek honored and seeing him accept the flowers and the love that people want to give him?
Man, he deserves it, man. He deserves it. What more can I say? Anytime I call on Derek, Derek was pulling up. I tell Derek to come to my little shindig in Fort Greene, Brooklyn. Derek's in my shindig with his wife. We having a good old time. Like he's that guy. I've been with I done man. I've been around. Soon as I got to Chicago, I was with them. I had to figure out what was Chicago about. What I need to know everything. And for him to get that embracement, because he's really, when I say he was all through Chicago, the love, the like showing love to a lot of people, like, man, I was there. I was seeing it. Like, this dude is like, for real, like one of those guys. Like, he's really something special. He's humble. Like,
Yes.
he not, yo, nah, he like, yo, show him. Show him. He's always putting somebody else in front. And for him to get that embracement, he deserves it, man. And then that guy, I was there when right after the knee injury, working out in the summer, like seeing him go through all that. I was like, yo, God got something special for him.
Wow. I'll tell you what. Here you are. You're not now. You're playing in this new generation of basketball. See, guys like myself, we're like those old guys, the old OGs that we've been so far removed. It's really hard for us to say, well, we did it this way, did it that way. You are not far removed from when you showed up for every game. You showed up for every practice. You came to play every single night. There was a pride about trying to get 82 games in. There was no load management. You're not too far removed from that. Talk a little bit about what you've experienced over these last 7 or 8 years coming from where you were as a rookie and a young player when you were in Chicago.
It's a lot of different factors. It's the money's a lot of the factors. A lot of you got to think about some guys really don't love the game like that, and it's a lot of good money out there. But at the same time, you gotta look at how training camp used to be. Training camp used to be a lot longer.
Yeah.
We used to really be out there, really like pushing our bodies. And then, but I remember there was a time when we had to put on a certain amount of weight. That was the main thing about the NBA. You had to match that physicality. And then putting on the weight, being in the weight room, it strengthens your body up. It hardens you. So you're ready to take on whatever injuries happen, but you still have to be available. Even if like one thing Tibbs and Lua always said, he's what the Tibbs used to say all the time. He said, if you're hurt, you can go. If you're injured, sit out. But if you hurt, you can go. And I think we get those two mixed up now.
Yeah.
We're injured and hurt. And then the accountability, it comes down to really wanting to be there and play for your teammates. Not only like worrying about your family, but playing for your teammates. Like when I look at me personally, I can't walk into the locker room not knowing I didn't give it my all and not try to help out at some point. That's why I was so blessed to go to Chicago, because every night we at least had somebody, like if they couldn't go, we fought.
Yeah.
We fought hard. Even if we played 40 minutes a night, we had 7 guys, we fought. And at the end of the game, we hugged and embraced each other because we understood like the love and maturity of what the moment really meant.
Wow.
Hey D, can you play that clip from last night when they gave Taj the game ball? We're going to play this, Taj, and then have you reflect on that moment last night when all your
Okay.
guys saluted you and presented you with the game ball. You got that, D?
And gratitude to you, and you've given so much to this game, even outside of the Hornets and the game of basketball, and we just absolutely love you and thank you, man. This game.
Just to follow up on what Stacey was saying, you got a lot of young guys in the locker room. It's been a tough season in terms of wins and losses, but
Mhm.
the love and respect they showed you, what did that mean?
Man, I was crying because I really love those young guys. I love these young guys, man. I love them. Every time I see everybody from top to bottom, from 1 to 15, I always look at an old player I know, an old player I was in Nike camp, Adidas camp with. There's so many different similarities with guys, and they're still trying to figure out who they are as a player and as young men. And every day that I'm with them is like, I tell them, the first thing I tell them is, respect me as an uncle. If look at me as that uncle that didn't make it. Look at me as that uncle that's back home that you know you're not gonna say nothing slick to with because you know he'll pop you in the mouth.
Yeah.
So respect me and really understand where I'm coming from here. I'm not one of these guys behind the scenes that's I'm telling you real. And I give it to them real every game, and I try to show up for them every game, and that's the respect level we have. And being a guy that's almost 40 years old to be in a locker room with young men should be my son's age, and to still be able to relate to them, still have them come talk to me or still catch them in certain moments like, yo, chill. I love it because I had guys doing the same thing for me. Nazi Muhammad.
Yep.
Nazi Muhammad is a ultimate vet. I learned from some of the best vets in this game on how to really be in this NBA and really use it to your best advantage.
When you look at LaMelo Ball and you see, like, from the outside of us looking in, we see a special talent. We
Mhm.
see a kid that could possibly one day be an MVP caliber guy. What is it like for you every day coming in, seeing a guy with that kind of talent that has the ability to be a game changer on a nightly
Mhm.
basis? Talk a little bit about him.
Man, first thing first, his maturity. Like one thing I want to tell you, like the media shows, like they clown, they laugh and all that. Oh, he's a jokester and all that. The kid is serious. The kid comes in every day. I watch him every day. He comes into the locker room, comes into the arena. He speaks to everybody. He checks everybody. Yo, you good? You straight? OG, you good? He calls me OG. He calls me 6'7". Yo, 6'7", you good? Oh, anything you need. Like every day. And not only that, he's a legit 6'7". He's a big guard. Every day I'm looking at him like, yo, he's shooting 1 foot step back threes. He has it all. Has it all. It's just it comes down to maybe getting a little healthy, yeah. But as far as everything else, great teammate, puts guys in great positions, and he's a point guard. He's only gonna get better. Like, he got a little rumbles here and there. All right, let the young guys keep growing. He's gonna keep growing. He's gonna keep leading. And I'm telling you, he's really like that. We used to say the same thing about Dirk. Like, whoa, my God. Some intimidated in practice. I'm looking at him like, yo, this kid is 6'7". He really didn't even start back. He didn't have, I don't he hasn't really even post anybody up yet. He has so many different facets to his game he still haven't even used yet. Yo, sky's the limit for him, man. I love that kid. I love this kid, man.
See, people need to start listening to you because you're a great scout. Because I remember when we played Philadelphia in the playoffs and Vooch was getting like probably 5 minutes a game, but he was getting in there in the minutes that he got, he looked really good. And you made a comment, if he ever gets an opportunity, that's my rook from USC. If he ever gets an opportunity, he's going to be a hell of a player. And then he gets traded to Orlando, and then he explodes. And
Yeah.
I remember you saying that, like, this kid is going to be a player. You need to watch out for this guy, and he exploded. So
Like,
you read talent. You might need to be a scout.
Etwan yo, my brother Etwan
Yep.
Moore, shout out Etwan Moore. He's a scout for the
Yep.
Bulls. And every time he comes to town and does his scouting, he calls me. He called me last time. He calls me, asks me about certain players. We talk similar to what Najee Muhammad does now for the OKC Thunder. Um, One thing I just love watching the game, like, even when you can testify to, like, you can tell, you can really look at a young man and be like, I done seen 1,000 of you.
Yeah.
Which role you want to take? You want to go the shooter role, left role? Which one you want to do? You tell me how you want to carry it. They don't understand. I'm like, think about all the camps, Stacey. Think
Yeah.
about all the top 100 camps, all the pickup. Then the NBA, the workouts, the drills. Like, you done seen 1,000,000 players, Stacey. So you know.
Yeah.
The eye test just shows you, then you just see his character and like how you're gonna see where his mindset is. Like, all right, I know where to put you. All right, yeah. That's how this game is.
So what's next for Taj Gibson? You hoping to play another couple of years? What are you going to do after you retire as a player?
Man, listen, I'm so blessed. I have one of the best agents in the game, Mark Ballerstein. He's my best friend. And we just, like, every summer we laugh. Like, we just enjoy. I sit back with him and we laugh about it. We talk about it. But I'm normally in shape. This is my life. I'm a professional basketball player. if a team doesn't call me, if a team does call me, I'm always ready. I'm always in shape. I'm always ready to be professional because I'm an NBA player. I was gracious enough to touch that. But who knows? The sky's the limit. Like I said, like Stacey said, maybe scouting, maybe whatever. I want to be a part of the NBA. I want to be a part of somebody's franchise, whoever gives me that shot. Like I said, like you said, coming into the NBA, it only takes one franchise to want you. And whoever allows me the opportunity, they're gonna get something special.
That's awesome,
Yeah.
man. I tell you what, you are loved here in Chicago.
That's for
The
sure.
Secretary of Defense, hard hat lunch pail. You know, uh, I had so much fun calling your games and calling that team's games, man. Because like I said, I saw the love and the passion that you guys play with. Even to
Mhm.
this day, when you see Joakim, and you see the energy that he still has, like you could tell he want to get out there and play. If
Yeah,
if his body could physically do it, he'd still be playing.
yeah.
I saw Kirk Heinrich last night, and Kirk is a recluse. He's like Howard Hughes. You don't know when you're gonna see him, but when you see him, you got to talk to him. And I sat up and talked to him for about 30 minutes last night. And he's coaching his son. His son is starting to play ball now. His daughter is a really good volleyball player getting recruited, so he's
Mhm.
enjoying being a dad and watching the games. But just sitting there talking to him last night, man, it just brings back so many memories. Because I was there when young Kirk came, with the
Mhm.
floppy hair, but one thing I can always say about Kirk Heinrich and that team, you guys were mentally and physically tough. Kirk didn't back down from nobody.
Nobody.
Nobody. I remember him going at Rondo,
Yeah.
they're getting ready to throw hands. And that just kind of trickles down to everybody else. Everybody else came with that dog mentality. You fight one, you fight us all.
Mhm. Like when I think about what you're saying about Kirk, it's like, man, I used to get on the bus and the plane. Like back when we didn't have the new dub, every team had their own plane back then. And we used to get on the plane. I used to remember sitting back, watching him after games, after hard games. Like Kurt used to be putting his body through a lot. And I used to remember Kurt like always in the back with his dip, maybe have a beer or two. And I was like, damn, he an NBA player. He got all this money, but he living hardcore. You could tell he living hardcore. Like when you go to his seat, he look at you, glare up at you, he like, what's up? Like, yeah, all right, Cap, you got it. I don't want nothing.
Yeah,
But
he's awesome.
Stace, man, I'm telling you, Chicago is special. Not a special place, but we were so gracious enough to hear you on over the mic, like really teaching us the game, showing Chicago like so many different nicknames, giving us like it was something special, man. You got so many young listeners who are grown up now. Like how does it feel? I don't want to switch it on you, but how does it feel to be the voice of a whole like era? Like you set the tone. Like if it wasn't you setting the tone on the air for us, let's think about it. Like you gave all of us our nicknames.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I look at it, Taj, as magical times. I tell people all the time that the players dictate nicknames. The players dictate. You just don't give. You played street ball in New York. People
Mhm.
give you your name. You don't just go out there and say, "Yeah, I'm the bone collector." People give you those names, and you guys always earn those names. I remember Jimmy Butler came up to me his rookie year, and he says to me, he's like, "Hey man, how come you didn't never give me a nickname?" I said, "Well, you got to play more than 3 minutes." And he said, "Was that how I got to get a nickname?" I said, "Yeah, you got to play. You got to play more than 3 minutes." And then all the injuries happened, and then he got out there and played, and so then I gave him Jimmy G buckets. The G stands for gets, and now he's marketed that into something
Yeah.
else totally different. But just watching you guys play, man, is like I was a fan. Like not only did I play the game, but I'm a fan when I do the games, and I'm
Mhm.
always going to be pro player. I'm gonna tell you the truth. If I see something that can help you in film session that you may not see, like a rotation or something like that. I'm not just coming as a player that played the game. I also coach too. So when guys
Mhm.
are watching the game, as long as you're a student of the game and you don't take it personal, Because I'm not going to ever say, oh, Taj this, just keep beating a dead horse. Taj didn't hustle down the floor. Taj didn't do that. I'm not going to do all that. But if there's a play that can help you later on down the line on a rotation, get there quicker, circle the post instead of getting sealed behind the post, you may have Shaq and use your quickness. I'm going to say use your quickness, circle the post, because I played that position before. And so you can learn something from that. But that's what I always try to do. And I always try to make it fun for you guys. And I know you guys always appreciated it. And it's just a lot of fun. I don't do it as much now because, I haven't had that kind of that energy because we haven't been winning. But we're starting to win now. We're starting to win now, which is a lot of fun. Lately we've been struggling a little bit, but this second half of the season, we've been one of the hottest teams. So now we're starting to do some things now. The energy level for the broadcasting team is back where it should be. And we got a chance to do some special things. So I'm looking forward to this team.
Did you hear his call after
Herder over there, man? I'll be tuned in. I love watching Herder, man.
Did you hear his call after Gimme made that half-court shot against the Lakers? Stacey's call?
Yo.
Elizabeth,
Giddy
I'm coming to join you from the old Sanford and Son.
A big guard. Big guard. Like this, we coming in that era of, this is the big guard era.
Yes.
Like, that kid is talented, man. Like, sky's the limit, man.
Well,
the only thing about people don't understand, in the NBA, it just takes a little bit of confidence.
Yes, that's what the game's all about, confidence. Someone giving you a chance. And I tell people that all the time. When you get drafted, you don't know where you're going to go. You go to a situation where you're on a loaded team, you might have to sit 3 or 4 years before you even get on the floor. You go to a team that needs you right away, a team that's a lottery team that you're going to play 25, 30 minutes right out the box. So it all depends on where you end up, where you go, and the coaches believing in you. I think, you coming into a situation, coming from USC, you came in experienced, people say, oh yeah, he's old. I would rather have a player that's experienced that can come in here and is especially defensive ready. Because as you know, especially when you guys are playing, if you can't guard nobody, you can't be on the floor. Because there was a killer at every position, 1 through 5. When I played, when you played, it's a little bit different now because you got the stretch 4s now that are actually playing 5s and they're shooting 3s more. Your big guys are being asked to get out there and slide their feet and switch out on pick and roll. I'm not a big fan of the switching. I like to see guys guard people. I think, when you hear the explanation, Taj, about the switching, it's like, well, we got to switch so we can, guard the 3-point shooters. Well, my thought process is that when you switch, 1 and 5, you create 2 mismatches. Because now it doesn't matter who's guarding the 3-point shooter. If that guard breaks your big man down and gets to the middle of the lane, he's finding shooters because you got to help out. So it kind of negates that switching part of it. Thibs, Phil Jackson, they like, hey, you got to guard people. You got to get out and guard people. You can't play.
Yeah, man. Like, this new era it's the one thing about the NBA is constantly evolving door. You have to really be able to, like, one thing I said, like, you have to be able to guard your position. And now it's so many hybrids, guys. Like an example, we have a young man, Musa, on our team. He guards 1 through 5. And he figured out that's his niche to get to the court. And now we're playing a lot more styles where it's maybe one center. It's maybe one center out there, one big man out there, and it's like basically four wings.
Yep.
It's the game hasn't changed. It still comes down to guarding your yard, being tough, and showing that passion. That's what it comes down to. Like, you can switch up all the lineups that this guy hit. If the big man is not shot blocking at the rim every night, that's a problem.
Yep.
Because now they switched it out. Now they want the big to always sit in the back, but they want the big to constantly do verticality, and they want him to constantly attack every shot blocking opportunity. And that's just what the way the game is going now, because it's basically 4 out, 1 in.
Well, I'll tell you what, this has been fantastic.
It is.
Catching up with you, Taj. We're so happy for you. All the love that's being shown your way by, fans and former players.
Well-deserved, man.
Yeah, executives, coaches. Everybody loves the way you play. Every organization you've touched, you've left something special behind. and all the fans in Chicago just loved watching you, and we're all so happy for you.
Appreciate you guys, man. Thank you.
Thanks for being on the show, boy. I know you got a
Stacey,
game
you
tomorrow.
got my number anytime.
I know you got a game tomorrow. And I wish you continued health and success, man. I know you're going to be a scout. You're going to be in the front office.
You'll be somewhere.
You're going to be somewhere because you know what? I've always told these young players, is that, wherever you're at, man, make a good impression. Have character, because whenever you want to come back to that organization, that door will never be locked. If you were a jerk and you were a guy that disrespected people and you didn't take your job seriously, them doors are always going to be locked. You'll never be able to get back there. And that's one thing I can say about you and a lot of these guys that have left this, Chicago Bulls organization is that they're always able to come back here. The door is never locked because you were not only just good basketball players, you were good people.
Yep. Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's the NBA. It is the #1 league in the whole wide world. All 30 teams, first class. They take care of you, make sure you're straight, make sure you got to do what you got to do. It's up to you to become the best pro possible that you can be.
Yep.
Like, I'm in Charlotte. Our record may not be good. Our record may not be, but every day we compete. Every day we bring it. Every day we're professional. The organization's professional. You know what I'm saying? It's all about coming down to just being a professional basketball player. And I think sometimes guys get those two things mixed up.
Yeah. I agree with you.
Hey, Taj, we're sending you some of Stacey's hot sauce, too. This guy's a business tycoon. He's selling his own brand of hot sauce and barbecue sauce. And, he's got it going now. Stacey's an entrepreneur.
In my case, man.
I'll send you some.
It's starting to get hot outside.
Text me the address, and I'll send you out a box.
All right, most definitely.
I appreciate it, Taj. Woo!
Thanks, Taj. We appreciate you joining us.
Appreciate you guys.
Taj Gibson, our special guest on Gimme the Hot Sauce. That was a lot of fun. It was great catching up with Taj. One of my
favorite guys, man. From day one. From day one, I just knew like he was going to be special. Just the way he carried himself. And I remember in the draft, they were like, "Oh, he's too old. He's 25." Yeah. And I'm like, man, you can't rate that because that was about the time mark they were going for 18-year-olds. The kids that were just out of college or high school. And they kind of got away from the older players. But now you look back on this career and you see he's played over 1,000 games and you think about some of those guys, him and James Johnson. James Johnson has been in the league a long time. Those were 2 picks that the Bulls picked that year.
It's funny, too, because this tribute video that the Bulls put together, all his former teammates shouting him out. Derek goes, and you'll still always be my rookie. Well, Derek was 20 when Taj came into the league at 25, but he was still his rookie.
Yeah, he's still his rookie, exactly. 5 years older than Derrick Rose. And Derrick Rose like, you're still my rookie.
Yeah. Those are the bonds that never are broken, right?
And when you see these guys, man, together, it's very similar to our championship team, man. When you go through the wars and you go through the grind and the blood, sweat, and tears that we've all experienced, we all saw each other go through, and then we rallied as one, that's a bond that can never be broken.
And when you see them, those stories come back like it was yesterday.
Oh, right? Like it was like yesterday. Exactly.
Yeah.
Fun team to watch.
Well, as Stacey mentioned, the Bulls have been playing very well. They've got a big victory over the Miami Heat. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more when Gimme the Hot Sauce rolls on. Well, I mentioned with Taj about Stacey's signature hot sauce. And we also want to talk about one of our great sponsors, Jeff Vukovich, for all your insurance needs, auto, home, and business. Make sure you contact the guy who treats you like royalty, Jeff Vukovich, our good buddy. You can reach him at jeffvuk.com. That's jeffvuk.com. The phone number 847. I can't even read anymore. 825-4783. It's on the screen if you're watching. 825-4783. I don't even think I should make you sing. You've been battling this respiratory infection.
Baby. I'm like Taj Gibson, baby. I don't miss a game, baby.
All right.
Nationwide is on your side. I'm like Taj, baby. We don't miss a game.
Battling through. There's a difference between being hurt and being injured, right? If you're hurt, you go.
You're hurt, you go. I'm hurting, but I'm going.
Let's talk about what the Bulls have been doing. It's been so much fun to watch. They're playing that up-tempo style that they talked about way back in media day, and with the changes to the roster, it's really paid off. Josh Giddey, every night he puts up some numbers that nobody's done in a long time. It's been fun to watch.
Well, I tell you what, I mean, they got a legitimate shot, Mark, and I know people are going to probably think I'm crazy, because they want that lottery pick, but they got a chance to win both of those playing games.
They do, yeah.
They got a legit chance. They can beat Miami, and they can beat Atlanta, or they can beat Orlando, whoever it may be. They can beat both of those teams, and especially on the road, because they are – the second game, I think they'd have to go on the road And they've been playing very good on the road. So it would not be surprising if they go to Atlanta, Orlando, and win that game, and then find themselves in the playoffs.
After the win over Miami, Casey Johnson talked to Josh Giddey afterwards, and he kind of admitted that he's a different player than he was at the beginning of the year. And a lot of times, I think for an athlete, you would know this. You don't want to say that I wasn't playing my best, but he kind of made it clear that things have changed. I'm 100% healthy, and I'm playing. I've kind of been freed. Billy's freed me to do what I want to do: attack the rim, create for others, and you're almost seeing a completely different player than what we saw in the first half of the season.
Well, I think Mark coming back from the Olympics, his ankle wasn't 100%, and he was playing through probably not even 80% of himself. And then you also got to understand too, fans understand too that he was deferring to everybody else. He was deferring to Zach. Zach's getting bring the ball to the floor and taking the ball out of his hands, and he started to become like an off guard. And that's not where he wants to play. Once they made the trade and Zach went to Sacramento, he got the keys to the car, and they moved Kobe to scoring guard.
Right.
Which, if people remember, I said this years ago.
Yes, you did.
That he should have been a scorer. I took heat from it. I had people, what are you talking about? He's a point guard, blah, blah, blah. And I still say it to this day, and you see his numbers show it, that he's a more complete player as a 2 guard than he is a 1 guard. Can he play some 1? Yeah, he can be a combo. But at 6'5", 200 plus pounds, he's a 2 guard. And he's really, flourishing with, Josh Giddey. Josh Giddey's able to get downhill, find open shooters. Kevin Huerter is playing totally different than he did in Sacramento. Vooch has been reinvigorated now. So this team is a totally different team than what it was the first 35 to 40 games compared to where they are now.
Yeah, we had Ricky O'Donnell on last week talking about the fact that maybe the Bulls can play hardball in negotiations with Josh Giddey. I think that ship has sailed.
No,
they're gonna have to keep him because he's kind of the key to this whole offense.
Listen, you can play hardball with him all you want to. I mean, you still can allow him to go out there as a restricted free agent and set the market. Okay, so now the question is, who out there? There's only going to be 1 or 2 teams that have that kind of money to even throw at him, unless there's a sign and trade situation that a team presents and says, we want him, we're willing to give up first round picks, we're willing to whatever to get him. He's going to be a hot commodity. I think the Bulls realize they got a special talent in a 22-year-old kid that every single night is like, we just talked to, Taj Gibson about, LaMelo Ball. He's in that kind of same situation. Big guard, 6'8", LaMelo 6'7". The guards are getting bigger now, and they're becoming more dynamic. Right. And with the way he rebounds the basketball, the numbers he put up, against Miami, last night was unbelievable. I mean, he's rebounding the ball like a small forward. I mean, he's going in traffic, Mark. It's not like just balls that are shagging, going out of bounds, and he's getting them. He's actually going down there with the big guys and jumping up there, taking rebounds away from Vooch and other big guys, the opposition's big guys. So he's rebounding like a big forward.
It's always so much fun when I get a chance to fill in for Adam. You've got such a great crew. Mark Brady, the producer, Tamara Anderson. They put up a great graphic yesterday that Josh Giddey is the 3rd player to record 1,000 points, 500 rebounds, 500 assists this season, joining Nikola Jokic and LeBron James. That's some pretty impressive company there.
And again, 22 years old.
Yeah.
Those guys are veteran players. Those guys have done it multiple times. This kid is going to be a person that does that multiple times. This should not surprise anybody. If you go back and you look at his early career in Dallas, he was doing these kind of things, okay? They end up getting Shai Gilgeous, and that kind of changed the complexion of the game. They wanted to feature, Shai. Then he struggled in the Dallas series where they backed off of him. His confidence was shaken. And then there was other things too. There's other things off the court that played into the psyche of Josh Giddey. But that should never question what kind of basketball player he is. This guy is on the national team. He's played on a national level. He's led Team Australia to numerous, events where he has been the marquee player. So this should not surprise anybody that he's doing what he's doing right now at 22 years old. He's got confidence. He realizes that this team wants him, that he loves it here in Chicago. And when you feel the love and you feel like the organization is behind you, the coaching staff's behind you, you have so much confidence in yourself that there's nothing you can't do.
Speaking of confidence, how about Modest Buzelis with 30 seconds in the game, stepping up and hitting that 3 to put the nail in the coffin?
Then the stare.
Yeah, looking back
the
to the
stare.
bench.
Like that's like Larry Bird. That's a Larry Bird look or a Luka look. Like, okay, someone said something to me. Yeah. get it out the net. I'm gonna tell you something. That kid, we talk, you play street ball and you play pickup games and you're out with all these guys and you hear the term he's got dog in him. He's got dog in him. Modest has dog in him. He might have started off as a puppy, but just because he was a puppy didn't mean he wasn't a pit bull. You know what I'm saying? You could have been a puppy. Some guys are puppy poodles. Some guys are puppy chihuahuas. But this kid was a puppy pit bull. And he is mean and he's nasty and he's going to grow into his body and he's going to be something fierce to watch. He's got an opportunity. And I said this, and I don't want to put any pressure on the kid, but pressure makes him fresher. He's going to be a kid in like 3 to 4 years when he grows into his body. He's going to put the work in. He's already ball handling is above, what everybody thought it was going to be. Every single night he does something. You go, wow, that kid's 16. He's doing that. His 3-point shot's going to get better because he has the confidence to take that shot. When he hit that shot last night, most rookies in that situation, we always say pressure burst pipes. When we say, hey, anuses get that tight. They don't want to take that shot. Most rookies would have passed that ball up or tried to dribble into doing something else. He just calmly sat in that corner and no hesitation raised up and shot that ball. And that was a huge, huge shot that propelled the Bulls to win that game.
Of course, it came right after Tyler Hero on
Oh,
an uncontested break, pulled
Okay.
up from the 3-point line.
Okay.
I mean, can you
Here-
imagine what one of your old coaches would have said
Listen.
when you did something,
Okay.
did something like that?
America. I am now taking Denzel Valentine off that bad shot list. Okay? When I say
He's gotten a
Denzel,
reprieve,
when I
yeah.
say Denzel Valentine reigns, I always say that, right?
Yeah.
I am now burying that. I'm burying that. It is now the Tyler Hero shot. I'm going to talk about him now because if he goes in for the layup,
Yeah.
it's a one-possession game with a lot of
30-some
time,
seconds
30-something
left,
seconds to play some defense, maybe play
Yeah.
the foul game. To go and raise up and shoot that ball like that had to be the dumbest play. Unless you're Steph Curry,
Yeah.
unless you're Luka or somewhere Dame Lillard, who has proven to make those kind of shots, you take the points. You take the points. There was no rebounders. He had no rebounders to go get a second chance opportunity. Everybody was in the backcourt because he got the steal and he was out in front of the crowd. And he literally stepped back.
Yeah.
He went past the 3-point line and then stepped back and jacked up a 3. I tell you what, Eric Spoelstra, I know he wanted to say something. And listen, the kid took 20-some shots yesterday.
Yeah.
He took 20-some shots. And a lot of his shots he took, were not very good shots, But what scares me about him and the Bulls match up against them in the playing game is that he still has the ability to make shots. The shots that he was making when they were winning the game were easy shots for him. The curling to the basket, getting in and out, dribbling, hitting the little 8-foot floaters. That's where he was really hurting the Bulls yesterday. But when the Bulls came out and made the adjustment and kept him at the 3-point line and forced him to take tougher shots, he couldn't deliver.
Yeah, that was something to see. I'll tell you what.
So Denzel, I love you. Denzel
off the
Valentine,
hook.
listen, he's always been one of my favorite guys. But I am no longer saying the Denzel Valentine range is going to be the Tyler Hero bad shot range, okay?
Yeah, that took hero ball to a whole
Wow,
new
hero
meaning.
ball. Yeah, hero ball. Yeah, he was, okay.
Yeah, I heard you mention this on the broadcast yesterday with Adam talking about Michael Malone being let go with 3 games left in the
man,
season.
come on.
And I know that Denver's had kind of a disjointed season. Jamal Murray's been out, in and out of the lineup a lot. Aaron Gordon missed games. They don't have much of a bench, but, he won a championship 2 years ago, and they sent him walking.
Mark, he's still the 4th seed.
Right,
In
yeah.
the Western Conference,
Yeah.
in the toughest conference in the NBA. He's still a 4th seed. They were as high as 2 at one point, and then they went on a little losing streak. You don't fire a coach like that in that situation at the end of the season when you're going into the playoffs. Because now what you have to ask yourself is, what's the goal here? Are we here to win championships or are we here to develop young players? From what I heard, I'm not in there, but what I've heard is that he's a big supporter of Westbrook. And people in the organization want to play younger players. And,
He did last night, too. The
well,
Pickett kid played down the stretch.
he played down the stretch.
Yeah.
And he had a big game.
Mhm.
So now people are saying, well, see if they would have played him. Yeah, but, you don't know what the circumstances were in that
Right.
game last night. Maybe the other team set their starters. You don't know, okay? But at the same time, Westbrook saved them in the beginning of the season. When Murray was out, you had Westbrook in the starting lineup, and they didn't miss a beat. So now it's so easy. he's a lightning rod, Westbrook. Anytime something breaks down, it's Russell Westbrook's fault. Okay? If your refrigerator goes out in your house, just blame Russell Westbrook. If your grill doesn't work when the first hot day comes, blame Russell Westbrook. Because that's what basically you do.
Want to mention a little college basketball, Florida winning the national title. It was funny, Duke blew it on Saturday, and then Houston almost did the same thing on Monday.
Man. Well, they did do it. They did. You were up 12. And with the defensive team that Houston has, like, here's what I say, because I've been in that game. I've experienced that game. What you find out for young kids, 18, 19 years old in those kind of games is that everyone knows it's the last game of the year. Everyone knows that everybody on the planet is watching that particular game. So now you'll have guys do things that they haven't done all season long. You'll have guys that'll go out there and take shots that they've never taken before. They're going to do things that they're not capable of doing. They're going to bypass the guys who got them there. The star players who got you to this point, you now are going to say, okay, you got us here. Now it's my turn to shine because my grandma in Los Angeles is watching me. And the one shining moment, I want to be in the video, okay? All in the video. They want to be in the video. And that's what happened to Houston. Houston had guys doing things they weren't capable of doing, and it cost them. When they had a 12-point lead, then it came down to, it's time for me to get my shot. I will give Clayton Jr. credit. He played within himself.
Yeah, bad game.
He had they doubled him. He couldn't get a shot off. And then when they were doubling him, the one thing he did really well, that if you're an NBA scout and you're watching that kid, is that he didn't quit. He didn't pout. He didn't, blame his teammates. He just kept playing. He played defense. He rebounded the ball. And he had 8 or 9 assists before he hit his first bucket. So he didn't quit. And then once Houston switched defenses and went back to singular man-to-man, he stood out like he was the best player on the floor. He hit 2 or 3 buckets going to the basket. There were impressive drives to the rim, finishing at the basket. So if you're an NBA scout, you see this kid and you say, oh, yeah, well, he struggled in the first half. But what was his mentality throughout this whole thing? Did he sulk? Did he go on the bench? Was he talking to himself like the kid from St. John's, who got benched? Yeah. His attitude, the body language. Clayton Jr.'s body language didn't change. His body language was in the game. He stayed mentally into the game, and when his team needed him most in the last 4 minutes of that game, he stood out as the best player on the floor.
It's kind of like Kobe White against Miami. He was 0 for 8 going into the fourth quarter, and he made some winning plays in the fourth.
And that's why, Kobe is showing you a maturation process. I thought last night he took some really bad shots. Mm-hmm. I thought it was kind of shots like, Zach would take, really early in the shot clock from too deep, where Kobe's been so effective is letting the game come to him and playing within the flow. And he's been able to score easily.
And Miami didn't want him to get off. They were double teaming him.
And that's when he's got to be like Clayton Jr. He's got to recognize other people got it going on. Herter's got it going on. Giddey's got it going on. So it's okay. It's okay. You want to take me out? I'll be the decoy. You guys keep, having a game plan to stop me. Then this guy's going to get off. This guy's going to get off. Giddey got off. Herter got off. Vooch got off. Yeah. I mean, guys are got off. Sometimes you have to sacrifice. And that's what, when Zach was here, DeMar was here. When those guys were on other teams' scouting reports, it made Kobe's job easier. Kobe was able to get 25 points because they're so focused on the main guys. Now Kobe is starting to see that on a nightly basis. You don't think Kobe White's on everybody's scouting report now after putting together all these consecutive 25-point games, 37-point games? You don't think they're sitting there saying, okay, in order to beat the Bulls, we got to take Kobe White out of the game? And Miami is notorious for doing that. Eric Spoelstra is one of the best in-game coaches and preparation coaches in the game. He's going to have some kind of defensive strategy to stop Kobe. And we said this last night, Mark, is that sometimes in the playoffs, since it's so close right now, and we're going to play this team, coaches tend not to show everything. You don't want to show everything so that team will have some preparation for it. Now, I think Miami showed their hand defensively how they're going to play Kobe, because I said this last night, they're not the same team without Jimmy Butler. When Jimmy Butler was playing the Bulls, there was an added incentive for him to play well because he wanted to stick it to the Bulls. And his teammates knew that. So they came in locked in. They came in ready. That's why they've had success against the Bulls in the play-in. Now you take that mindset out of Miami now, and you relying on Tyler Hero to lead you. You're relying on Bam to lead you. And those guys haven't done it, consistently enough. like Gimme did it. And that's where they're really going to miss Gimme in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch. We're almost assured of a rematch in the opening play-in game with the Bulls against the Miami Heat. Last week we had some fun talking about the forward position, who you would take to lead you in a playoff series. Of course, the playoffs are going to start on April 19th. This week we're going to look at some of the guards. D, you ready for this? All right, so we're going to start with the guy who's recognized as the best shooter in the history of the NBA, Stephen Curry. Getting a little bit long in the tooth, but he can still take over games.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be the guy that we're going to start, because last week he started LeBron,
Yep.
and these two guys are considered the two best players at their position in the game. So we're starting with Steph Curry. I'm still taking Steph Curry pretty much over everybody, just because his ability to change the game from the 3-point line and his ball handling. And you got a game plan against this guy. He never stops moving. He's always going to find an open shot no matter where it's at, and he's not afraid to take the big shot.
Did you see what Ahmed Thompson did to him the other night? Held him to 3 points.
Let me tell you something. Them Thompson
Them
boys,
Thompson guys are tough, man.
they're going to. I'm telling you, America. If you haven't seen those Thompson twins play, the one in Detroit and the one in Houston, in 2 or 3 years, they're going to be two of the best players in the game.
Yeah.
3-and-D players.
And they're defensive stoppers.
Not
right
just
now.
defensive stoppers either. They can score. These guys are still scoring 18, 19 points without them running plays for them. Yeah. Imagine when they get in the offensive system where a coach says, okay, I'm on. We're going to run this play for you down here.
And it's kind of funny, like we're seeing Modest blow up now. I think Modest, if they redrafted, would be the first pick.
Yeah.
Or at least in the top 3.
Yeah.
And with those Thompson kids, they both went in the top 7, I think. And people are like, what did they do with the G League Elite?
Yeah.
They weren't that good. And people are seeing, sometimes you get a young guy and you see those physical traits and they really develop in a year or two.
Well, and you can tell those kids have high motors. And you look at Modest, a high motor. When the first thing you're looking at as young players is, do they like to play? You heard Taj Gibson talk about the passion, the love to play. Do they love to play? Do they love the preparation and all that? We have that in Modest. Modest loves the preparation. Modest loves the practice. These Thompson twins, you can tell. Listen to guys talk about them. Greg Kelser talk about, the brother, Asar, loves to play, has a passion for the game, loves to get after defensively. They would rather play defense than offense. Mm-hmm. What young player is committed to the defensive end like that? You don't see it very often.
Well, let's take a look at some of the guys that we've got on our list. Who do you got up there first, D? Jalen Brunson. He's been fantastic. Local guy. We've had him on the show. It's been fun watching his development. It's right now though, it almost seems like they're putting too much pressure on this kid. He just came back from an ankle injury. I just watched him the other night. They played Boston and lost in overtime. He took a lot of bad shots, and it's almost like he's trying to force his way back into that good rhythm he had early in the year.
I love Jalen Brunson. But if you're telling me between him and Steph Curry, I'm taking Steph Curry because I believe with what Steph Curry does, as far as on the offensive end, you have to game plan to stop Steph Curry or at least slow him down. You don't really have to game plan to stop Jalen Brunson, because Jalen Brunson also needs guys around him to be able to be the player that he wants to be. Because when you got Cat, you got some, Nobi, you got guys that teams have to be aware of. He has more one-on-one situations. He has more, the post-ups. He plays bigger than he actually is. So, you can stop that in the playoffs. You can stop that kind of game in the playoffs because it becomes a half-court game. You can't stop what Steph Curry is going to bring to the table in the half court.
Yeah. Who's next, D? He's stuck? All right, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's going to lead the NBA in scoring, likely to win the Most Valuable Player award. We've seen firsthand how he can take over games. The thing I love about him is he's always under control. He gets to his spots, and he gets to the free throw line. He's going to get 10 free throws almost every game, but who would you go with in that between him and Steph?
I'm going to tell you right now, he's not going to get to the free throw line like he's getting now in the regular season. Yeah. The playoffs is going to, all you got to do is call James Harden. Ask him, hey man,
That's true.
Ask James Harden. Every time you've been in the playoffs, how many free throws you shot in the regular season compared to the playoffs? He's not going to get those calls. And I said this last night. You can see the officials are starting to let these guys play more and more as this season winds down. Guys are looking on the ground. Hey, you're not calling that. No, they're not, because they're getting in playoff mode now, especially the younger officials. So I'm going more with. I'm still going with Steph.
I take SGA. I think his ability to score and take over games, and also that Oklahoma City defense is unbelievable. Your going through some names here. We saw Damian Lillard. Who would you have before there? And Drew Holiday. Of course, they were basically traded for each other, and now Drew Holiday got that championship trophy playing with the Celtics last year.
Drew.
Yeah,
I'm going with Drew just because of the 3-and-D aspect, because he can completely shut your the opposing guard down.
And Lillard might not even play in the playoffs.
I know
that
sucks. Yeah. That sucks for him. That sucks for Milwaukee, because now that's going to put pressure on their front office now, and it's not their front office's fault, because they went out and got Dame Lillard to pair up. You can't guard against a blood clot, but that's another year that Giannis is not going to be playing for a championship, possibly. I mean, who knows? Maybe he wheels them, but this kid right here, like, he can shut your whole point guard system down completely and make somebody else beat you, and he can guard other players as well. So, yeah, I would take him on the aspect because he can play both ways.
I'm sure Anthony Edwards is one of the guys that we've got on the list, and he's been a guy that carried Minnesota to the Western Conference Finals last year. Minnesota's kind of an up-and-down season, but they played well lately. They're still battling for seeding position in the Western Conference.
Do you sleep, buddy? Let's get it moving, everybody.
Would you take...
All right, so give it to the next one, though.
Would you take Ant or Steph?
I would take Anthony Edwards, just for the simple fact he's a guy that's like can get 40 on you, and he can attack the defense in so many different ways, off the bounce, off the jump shot. So I'll take him over Steph. And this kid here, like,
he's turning into Larry Bird. Speaking of Larry Bird, that's who he's playing like.
I'm gonna tell you something. There's not too many better third options in the game right now.
Wow. And anybody could have had him undrafted.
Yes, could have had him.
Didn't I hear the Bulls were talking to him? One of the teams that were considering signing.
I can't confirm that, but I do know that Detroit was going to draft him, and he told Detroit not to draft him. He was going to be one of the two-way contract. That way he can not get locked into a contract situation. And then he can sign a two-way deal. Which
how lucky are the Lakers to fall into a guy like that?
I'm telling you, listen, if you saw him in Oklahoma, which I did, I saw him in Oklahoma, you could tell that he was an NBA player. He could score from many different levels. He was a tough kid, hard-nosed kid. So you just knew. I didn't know he'd be this good. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say, oh, I knew he was going to be this good. I knew he'd be a good NBA player, but I didn't know he would be on a team like the Lakers where he's the third best player. And on some nights, he could be the second best player.
I'm just amazed the way he can score off the dribble, because you'd think he was a catch and shoot guy, a Doug McDermott.
His handles are unbelievable too. He's got unbelievable ball handling ability. And again, what makes him so tough is that he doesn't back down. He has no fear of anybody who guards him. It doesn't matter if it's your number one guy, number two guy, it doesn't matter. He has no fear. So when you're talking about Austin Reeves and then you're comparing him to Steph Curry, man, that's tough. I still got to go with Steph Curry. And as much as I like Austin, I still go with Steph because that three-point ball is a game changer.
Well, the other guy wearing purple and gold, Luka Doncic, had a homecoming last night playing, in Dallas. Got the video tribute, got the standing ovation, multiple standing ovations. He put up 45 against his old team. Would you take Luka or Steph?
Man. In shape Luka.
Yeah.
In shape Luka, because
right.
Luka, I've seen Luka do it. I've seen Steph do it, but I've seen Luka dismantle a team by himself. I remember, go back to that Phoenix series a couple of years ago when they were talking trash to him when they were winning, and then he basically told them it's easy to talk trash when you're up, you're winning. Let's see tomorrow when the game starts 0-0. And it was kind of like what MJ would say, and then next day he goes out and destroys them. And he's a guy, like I said, he has that killer instinct. He knew that he was going to have a big game against Dallas. You just knew it. He was going to be healthy. He was going to go in there and drop 45, 50 points. It was just like, it was just a matter of like what game it was, when it was going to happen. But you knew it was. And the kid was so much emotion because he did not want to leave Dallas. And it's very evident when you hear him talk.
Well, he said he was almost crying.
Yeah, he was crying. Yeah.
He said he didn't know how he could even play.
Yeah, he had tears in his eyes. 45. He had tears in his eyes, and it was amazing that he was even able to play. I mean, I heard J.J. Redick talking about it, that he was so emotional. Like, he did not want to leave. From day one, he said that. He had planned to sign the extension there. Dallas just gave up on him. He didn't give up on Dallas. The Mavericks gave up on him.
What's interesting about that, watching that game last night, Anthony Davis was totally out of it. It's like, here are all these people showing this love for Luka, the guy I was traded for. Now I'm on your team. And he was, disengaged, wasn't really aggressive. I wouldn't be surprised if he puts in a trade request.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me either.
he might want to come home.
Well, I tell you what about that. I don't know. I might have to pass on that one, Mark, because we're going a different direction, and you need a guy who's going to play.
Yeah.
I need a guy who's going to play more than
You don't think
45.
he fits with the style?
We need a guy who's going to play more than 45, 50 games a year and paying him that kind of money. I like the way the team is going. If we can wait out to 2026 and then be a player for a guy like Giannis, someone like that, and that puts you right back in the mix and still being able to keep our young guys and not have to give up any of our key pieces, a Modest or someone to go get, a Giannis or something like that. I'm waiting. I'm just not going to be adding pieces just to be adding pieces.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You go back to the old Cubs when they were, and then they were getting Sorianos and all these guys paying. They were past their prime,
playing a ton of money.
Yeah, paying a ton of money, and they weren't doing it. And we've been through that before. The Bulls have been through that. The Ben Wallaces and the Rip Hamiltons, the guys who were great players, before.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get them here, they're at the back end. Dwayne Wade, they're at the back end of their career. But we don't want to do that. This team is going in the right direction. Okay, I know this has been a small sample size to Bulls fans, and for the Bulls fans who've been able to watch, because a lot of people say, "I wish I could watch this on TV." I'm sorry you can't watch it. You're missing a good product right now. But at the same time, it's been a small sample size, so you don't want to get too sold into it yet. I got to see more and more. I got to see how they do in the playoffs. I got to see what they do in the playoffs and how the key players play in the playoffs. I need to see how Kobe's going to play. I need to see how Giddey's going to play when the game matters, because 82 games, there's no pressure playing 82 games. But when you get into that play-in series, that playoff series, there's big-time pressure.
But if the Joker requests a trade, would you be up for that?
Oh, man, it's a tough one too, man. I mean, what do we have to give up?
Yeah, that's the thing. You probably have to give up.
Yeah,
Modest
you got to give up. Yeah, you're going to have to give up a lot to get him, and like I said, then it puts you back in another rebuild situation.
And he's on the other side of 30, and not in the greatest shape either.
And like I said, for him, that was the only coach he knew, Mike Malone.
Yeah.
For him, and he's a franchise player. It surprised me that he didn't step up and say, "No, that's not happening."
Yeah.
This is my coach.
Well, they say that he's a yeller and a screamer, and he kind of wore on a lot of guys.
Listen, man, this league's soft, bro.
Yeah.
This is soft. When if you're not doing your job, a coach should have the right to get in your ass. I mean, if you're working a 9 to 5 and you're not meeting the expectations, your boss is going to give you ultimatums. He's going to put pressure on you. He's going to press you. He's going to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do. If not, you can go find another job. These basketball players getting $20, $30 million a year, and I'm always going to be pro player. But at the same time, man, there's expectations that come with making that type of money. You have to come with it every single night. If you want to be a $30 million player, that means you got to be a $30 million player every single day you step on the court, every day you come into practice. You have to carry yourself like that. You can't be a $30 million player once every month. Doesn't work that way. Because if that's the case, then give the money back. The months you don't show up, the games you don't show up, write us a check and send that money back. We'll pay you for the services rendered.
Well, I think we've covered most of the good guards in
Zach
there.
LaVine.
Zach LaVine. I saw him score 43 in a win over Detroit earlier this week, and it was fun watching that, because when he gets hot, he can score as easily as just about any player in the league.
Zach, like I said, man, I would have loved to see Zach at Golden State. I'd love to see Zach playing with Steph Curry and giving them another wing shooter. I think he could have filled in nicely there. I know they like Gimme. I know, they Jimmy's been good for them, the record wise. You're just holding your breath of like, when is Gimme going to explode at some point,
Well, he got paid, so he'll probably be okay for a while.
So, but I would love to see Zach play on a contender type team. Yeah. So that would dispel the situation of being, he's not a winner. You get to hear all this, oh, he's not a winner. He's not a winner. Listen, players play where they play. The team around them is what they got. You can't put the sole onus on Zach LaVine not being a winner because, he's got a 15% winning percentage in the playoffs, or he's only been in the playoffs one time in his career. The team sucks because of him. This success the team has right now, there's no way in the world I'm going to say it was Zach's fault. There's no way in the world. It looks like it to the outsiders, people who don't know the game. It looks like, okay, Zach was the problem. Well, then you can say the same thing about Caruso. Was Caruso the problem?
Or DeMar.
DeMar, was he the problem? No, it was a team and the system that they were playing. When Lonzo Ball was playing, there was no problem. You had a point guard, and he knew how to get everybody involved, and everybody had a role. When he went out, that's when the problems persisted, because now Billy has to go from a more open style play with a point guard to more isolation. And it's easy to defend an isolation team. And we saw that.
It's just funny. Sacramento's been on national TV the last week or so I've seen them a couple of times, and just to see Zach and DeMar together again, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Your turn, my turn. They're both scoring a lot of points, and the team is struggling. They are sub 500 since the Levine trade.
Well, and Mark, the problem too is they don't have a point guard. So
Yeah,
you're asking Zach to be a scorer and then get guys involved too.
Yeah, he was playing point guard the other night.
And that's not his game. He's a scorer. So until they get a point guard, they had one in Fox, but in order to get Zach, you had to trade Fox, and a lot of moving parts. At the end, but in the draft, they should be looking to get a guard.
I tell you what, we had a great interview with Taj Gibson. Yep. We hope you enjoyed that earlier. Josh Giddey making D's list of great guards in the playoffs. Hopefully he'll get a chance to show what he can do in the postseason.
Listen, now that's a kid I might have to take. I might have
to take Steph?
I might have to take over Steph, man. I might have to take him just because the fact that he is a triple-double watch every night, because the way his ability to rebound, his ability to see the floor and attack, when he gets the ball, like now, it's like, okay, he can get to the basket anytime he wants to. It's not a fluke. Before in the regular, early in the season, he wasn't on the attack. He was more, like I said, deferring. Here, Kobe, you handle the ball. Zach, they would run down the floor, Mark. You go back and look at old film. They would run down the floor, and every guy would turn looking for the ball. So you're like, okay, well, I'm not a point guard. I got to pass the ball. You watch the game now, Kobe outrunning. Wings outrunning. Modest outrunning. Guys are running. Herter outrunning. Pitch the ball. How many times against the Heat did you see Josh Giddey get a rebound and fire the ball up the floor without dribbling? At least 4 times last night that led to baskets or dunks.
Yeah, and it's allowed guys like Dalen Terry and Julian Phillips to have a useful role because they just need to get out and run.
This is an athletic team. They had played like they were older, like an old veteran team. Now they finally got the shackles released. Okay, now you went from being Clydesdales to stallions and thoroughbreds. Now you're letting them loose, and they're running, and they're really running teams into the ground. You could stay with this team, Mark, for about 2.5 quarters, maybe 3. But when that fourth quarter comes down, you see teams gassed. You see teams like, oh my God, we can't. There might be 1 or 2 guys that want to run with them, but as a collective team, they're wearing teams down, and that's where they're able to get the leads. Now, the biggest problem they're going to have, and we said this, against Miami, is you can't have these high turnover, points off turnover games. You got to take care of the ball. You got to value the ball. You got to value possession. You can't go into a tournament, play-in tournament, and give up 28 points off of turnovers. You just can't, or you're going home. You're going to lose that first game. You're out. So, they got to adjust to that. That's one thing. But they did a good job last night of not giving up a lot. They turned the ball over, but they didn't turn over for points.
Well, it's good that Stacey's on the mend, and hopefully if the Bulls win those 2 play-in games, you'll be able to hear Stacey and Adam in the first-round series.
Can we get to a playoff
against
game?
the Cleveland Cavaliers?
I hate watching play-in games. Can I get to a playoff game so the magic of Adam and I can be unleashed to the world? Right now we're being suppressed, baby. We're like somebody's pushing us down. This team, I hope they can win 2 games and get us out there into an actual playoff game so we can call a game.
Yeah, so in first-round playoff series, the local broadcasters can work, and so hopefully we'll hear Adam and Stacey calling some more games coming up a week or so from now. We want to thank you for joining us. Our special thanks to Taj Gibson for joining us. Congratulations again to Taj. 1,000 career NBA games.
Woo!
We appreciate him joining us. D, great work. We appreciate you hustling in after your full-time job and spinning the dials, as my guy Chuck Swirsky would say.
Yeah. Working overtime at OnlyFans, and he finally found his way back here. Way to go, baby. Way to go. Sign up to his OnlyFans channel. Dangerous D, baby.
Thanks again for watching us on Chicago Sports Network. We'll have a new show coming for you again next week. Until then.
Drive home safe in Chicago, BB.
That's a huge 3! Mustard! Lonzo left alone. Gimme! Sauce. Able to swerve, bend that corner. That's the last time I'm going to say it. Williams straight up.